All right, this is the Dvar Malchut. This is the end of it, Dvar Malchut. And if you remember what's the Rebbe is trying to convince us and make us aware that this whole idea of Moshiach coming and revealing godliness, it's infinitely closer and more real than we can think. And we can take example, but it demands that we do some work. We can take example from the miracles and the amazing kindness that God showed us in the past. He took us out of Egypt. He split for us the sea. And despite the fact that the Jews made a lot of trouble for God, he gave us the Torah. And then after that, they made more trouble. They worshiped the golden calf. And they had to wander around in the desert for 40 years. God took them 40 years and wandered around the desert. And there was also the war with Amalek. They defeated Amalek. And despite all this, God still loves the Jews. And all of this is only going to be a preparation. These are just hints at what's going to be in the days of the Mashiach. And for instance, the going out of Egypt means that we'll go out of our personal, egotistical, false conceptions that limit us so greatly, all the negativity that we interpret the world, that'll all stop. Going out of Egypt. Defeating Amalek means that there'll be we'll be finished with all doubts, with all anything that opposes God, all destructive urges and forces and things like that from inside and also from the enemies. That won't be anymore. Just like he defeated Amalek then. He split the sea. That was revelation. God revealed himself to us. Also, he revealed himself at Mount Sinai. Amazing revelations, amazing benefits that he got. And that was the whole idea of the 42 journeys in the desert. And that represents also all these 2,000 years that the Jewish people have been in exile, as we've been experiencing these, but in a way that prepared us not just to go into Israel like it was back then, but for the future redemption for Mashiach to come. So the whole entire 2,000 years is only for that idea of Mashiach coming. Of course, this requires a bit of faith, but on the other hand, it's true. And when we realize that it is true, and there's no doubt, like we said, Amalek is doubt. So maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. The Rebbe is like Moses, and he's convincing us that it definitely is true. And that we have to keep a positive attitude and do everything that we can in a greater measure in order to be ready for this revelation of the God who's creating the world and the God who's giving the Torah and the God who took us out of Egypt and the God who defeated Amalek and the God who provided for us when we were in the desert. Excuse me. From. Okay, so what can we learn from all this we spoke about? We have to add on and we have to complete everything that's relevant to the day of the passing away of the previous Rebbe. The previous Rebbe, as the Rebbe said many times, is Mashiach. He's the Mashiach. It's an example of what Mashiach is. He is the Mashiach of his generation. In other words, Mashiach is not somebody that's going to stand up on a mountain and the wind is going to be blowing through his hair. And he's standing with a big staff. And he's bringing lightning down on the enemies and things like that. He's going to be a person that's going to do much, 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 much greater than that. He's going to change the attitude of the Jewish people toward God. That's what the previous, so therefore we should learn the writings of the previous Rebbe. Yeah. We We should learn the writings of the previous Rebbe. You can look it up online. There's some that are written and translated in English. You should learn lessons from how he lived his life and how he should, namely spreading out Judaism, spreading out the ideas of Chassidut, especially to make forbringers in these days, with song and with happiness and song. Especially this coming Shabbat, which will complete the passing away of the previous Rebbe. The Shabbat adds a completion. This Shabbat is called Shabbat Shira, the Shabbat of song, because we read the song that the Jewish people sang when they went over the Yam Suf, went over the sea. So number one, we should spread out Judaism and make farbringans if possible. Well, okay. In addition, also a very important one about this song and regarding prayer, that when you pray, it should be in a way of singing. You personally, doesn't mean you have to all get together and sing some song that somebody wrote. When you personally, on your own, sing a song, that in Chabad there's a lot of songs that are especially for individual prayer. The person sings to himself. In Chabad, there's not too much group singing. It wasn't stressing, but there are a couple of places we do, but not. The idea of singing, like we said before, is from below to above, that we raise our soul up to God. So it says now there has to be clinging to God when you sing, understanding a little bit about who you're singing to. You're singing to your creator. You're singing to the one who gave us the Torah, the one who took us out of Egypt. There's eventually God will reply, and there'll be a new song that's going to be in the future, and especially relevant to the prayer about the future redemption. That then there's going to be an amazing joy and happiness that all of the bad things in the world are going to stop, and all the good things in the world are going to be increased, and the good within each and every human being. This is supposed to happen right now, especially because all of the projected times when Mashiach is going to come, they've already passed. They've already passed. And for sure, Mashiach is going to come. There's no doubt about it. So if the Mashiach comes right now, he's already, according to one opinion, about 2,000 years late. 2,100, 6,000, whatever you, 1,600, I'm saying. Like the previous Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe said, that in addition, you should have a longing for the redemption. You have to have right now joy, the fact that the redemption is coming. It says that there's an author called Rabbi Yeshaya Horowitz. He wrote a book called the Shalah, Shnei Luchot HaBrit. And he brings down there that there's a midrash that says that the Jewish people, they started singing when they came over the sea. So, and they saw all the enemies were all dead. So they started to sing. They sang a song. And God said, my handiwork, all these Egyptians, I made them. They're drowning in the sea. And now you're singing because your enemies are dead? That's a terrible thing. So the Shalah asks the question, what do you mean? It says, it says, when you see that your enemies are dead, you're happy, right? If all the Nazis would drop dead, we'd be tremendously happy. They wouldn't kill so many people. How many? 6 million Jews, they killed 50 million other people. That was very, very great happiness. There'd be 50 million people, 50 million more people in the world alive today, and all their children, who knows how many. Of course, you're supposed to be happy. So he says, no, the reason that God was angry was because he said, now you're singing, you see your enemy is all destroyed. And now you're singing, now you're happy. You should have been happy when I told you what was going to happen when you left Egypt. I told you were going to get out. That's when you should be happy. Ignore the enemies, right? God, told you it's going to be okay. That should have been enough to make you dance. So that's what it means. The Rebbe is saying, no, even though we don't see the future redemption, but we should be happy because God promised us it's going to happen. That's what it says, you are called man. Man is similar to God. We're made in God's image. Adam adme le'elyon. And especially, we're coming up, the holidays coming up. of Tu B'Shvat. Tu B'Shvat is the New Year's Day for trees. It says in the future, even the barren trees that don't have any fruits on them, right? What is it, cedar trees, whatever, that they'll also grow fruit. Especially the land, the fruit trees, the fruit trees which are in the land of Israel. Because the Jewish people, it says, the Jewish people, they themselves are Eretz Chayfetz. And each and every single Jew, they're like this precious land of God. All these details of Eretz Chita, Saora, Geffen, Te'ena, Rimon, that the land of Israel is the land of wheat and barley and grapes and the figs and the pomegranates, the land of olives and the dates, like it says, and all these details are explained in great detail. This also corresponds to Kabbalistic things. So certainly we'll utilize all these words and these ideas in order to explain and to arouse other Jews that they should also have this desire and longing that any second now there's supposed to be this amazing revelation and realization of godliness, which is even higher than was when we left Egypt and when we received the Torah. This will encourage all the Jews to do all the commandments which connected to Torah, especially those which connected to the land of Israel. May it be God's will, and this is the main thing, that even before this Monday, the 15th day of Shvat, which is the New Year's Day of trees, everything should finish, and we should have the main growth. Means the Mashiach is called Semach Shemo, Semach David. That they should raise a shevet b'Yisrael. A shevet means a staff. It also means a ruler, but it's also the name of this month. Melech Rodeo Moshel b'Yisrael. There'll be a king that will rule over the Jewish people. There will come a branch from Yishai, and it will flower and grow. That's what it means, that there'll be a king from the house of King David, and he'll fight the wars of God, and he'll build a temple in its place. Simply what it means is that immediately, as soon as it comes to today, Rebbe was speaking yesterday, as soon as it comes today, all of the Jewish people, our children, our elders, our sons, our daughters, will go out from this terrible exile, will come to the land of Israel, to Jerusalem, to the Holy Temple, the third temple, which will already be built, because God will gather together again the Jewish people, and we will sing to God. We will sing a song of praise and thanks, a new song, and God will sing to us in a way that was chokpino, that will be tremendously happy, like it says hinted at in the two names of the Rebbe of our generation, Yosef, Yitzchak, Moshiach Shebedorenu, that he is the Mashiach of our generation. The previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, his name was Yosef, which means to gather, and also means to add, and Yitzchak means joy. Like it says, Teve'enu v'sitaenu sitaemo bahar nachalato, that God will bring us and excuse me, God will bring us and he'll give us the taste of the mountain of his portion. In other words, the holy temple, the Mikdash Hashem Konani Yodecha, the holy temple of God will be established by God forever and ever, and that will be, especially in Matan Torah, in Parshas Matan Torah, which is going to be next week, Parshas Yisro, by Daber Elokim El Kol Dvarim Elu Lemor, that God will speak all of these words to say, namely that we will have the completion. When the Jews got the Torah, that was only the preparation for what's going to be. When we'll have the completion of the giving of the Torah. then the Jewish people will feel the true godliness in every commandment. The Jewish people will feel the true godliness in the Jewish people. And that's what it says is 11 days from Chorev, taking them all into Israel. They'll be revealed a Torah Chadashah V'Yitzchak. The Torah will be new, fresh, like it's being given the first time, even greater than that. And let's now do the Yom Yom. I'm sorry for making this short, but I didn't think I would give this class at all because I was sick last night. I don't know what happened. It's just all of a sudden. Here we go. We start off the day by saying Modeh Ani. This is said before you even wash your hands, even while your hands have impurity on them. The reason is that all the impurities in the world cannot defile a Jew's surrender to God. I acknowledge, Modeh Ani. He might lack one thing or another, but his Modeh Ani, the fact that a Jew is willing to surrender himself totally to God, always is whole and complete. Have a good day with Mashiach now. Thank you very much. Sorry we cut the class short. God willing, at 3 o'clock, I hope we'll have a class today also.